What's your reaction to Anthony Albanese asking for their release and that apparently about to occur?
Well, given it is such a significant decision, I think it's almost inexplicable that Mr Albanese has not stood up in front of the Australian people and explained exactly what he has done. As at this morning, the Australian people, despite all the news reports, are in the dark. Let's be clear in the first instance. These individuals, Australians, were part of a heroin smuggling ring to bring back into Australia in excess of 8 kilos of heroin. Drug offences are some of the worst offences our society sees because of the devastating consequences on people, including death. But quite frankly, given this seems to have escalated over the last 24 hours, it is now for Prime Minister Albanese to stand up in the front of the Australian people and say, what is the deal? What has he extracted in relation for the deal? What is Australia giving up in relation to the deal? How much is it going to cost the Australian taxpayer? Will they continue to serve their prison sentences because they have been sentenced to life imprisonment in Indonesia? Will they continue to serve them out in Australia? And if not, why not?
Well, Don Farrell indicated they would. Don Farrell indicated they would, for what it's worth. I guess Stephen Jones was out talking, confirming that Anthony Albanese lobbied in relation to it. Go on.
Well, I thought the details were very light, both from Stephen Jones and from Don Farrell. If nothing else, Mr Albanese needs to be upfront with the Australian people. What is the nature of the deal to bring back Australians who have been convicted as part of a heroin drug smuggling ring, sentenced by an Indonesian court? This is a timely reminder, Andrew. Seriously, Australians go to Bali all the time. You are reminded as you are flying in. Indonesia has the death penalty for drugs.
All right,
they have severe penalties.
Do you think they should be left there in jail?
But as for Mr Albanese, it is for Mr Albanese to explain to the Australian people. He's advocated on their behalf. He has allegedly done this deal. Even though Indonesia itself doesn't have prisoner transfer agreements, he needs to be upfront with the Australian people. What's the nature of the deal? Who's paying for it? What's Australia giving up in return? And will they or won't they continue to serve the balance of their sentence in Australia? I mean, it's a reality that Mr Albanese, when it comes to dealing with criminals, Andrew, let's be face it, he doesn't have a great track record. He let 215 non-citizen hardcore criminals out into the Australian community. A number of them have committed offences and have gone back inside. But seriously, when it comes to criminals, Mr Albanese hardly has a good track record.
Well, let me just ask you this again. Do you think the Bali Nine, the 5 remaining, should remain in a Bali jail?
Let me be very clear. If the Albanese government has information that as the shadow Attorney-General and the shadow government we are not privileged to, well then he needs to explain what that is. If you're asking me, would this have been a priority of a government I am in? A priority for me is dealing with the cost of living crisis that the Australian people are under as a result of Mr Albanese and his government's actions. Again, as I say, I'm a Western Australian. I have been to Bali many, many times. Indonesia has tough sentences when it comes in particular to drug smuggling. I think this is a timely reminder for any Australian about to get on a plane over the Christmas period and go to Bali. It is Indonesia. It is their laws under which you are being tried, and their sentences are tough.